Hi there and welcome to Maths with Juraj. Today's lesson is long division. Before I continue with long division examples, I want to just quickly recap what we already should know about division. So let's go over a few basic division facts. Right, if I've got an example of 6 divided by 2, what does 6 divided by 2 mean? It means that we have to share 6 sweets or 6 of anything by 2 children. What will each child get? Each child will get 3 sweets. That's because 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. Therefore, 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. Another way of doing this division sum is to know my multiplication facts. If I know my 2 times tables, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 times 2 is equal to 2. 2 times 2 is equal to 4. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. I should know that 3 times 2 will give me 6. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. And look carefully. If I have to read a multiplication sum backwards, 6 divided by 2, and what will that give me? 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So what do we notice? Division sums are actually the inverse of multiplication sums, and multiplication sums are the inverse of division sums. What is inverse? Inverse is opposite. Inverse means opposite. The opposite of division is multiplication, and the opposite of multiplication is division. Okay, so reading a division sum backwards gives you a multiplication sum. And in order to know this, you need to know your multiples of 2 or your 2 times tables. Right, let's do a slightly different multiplication fact, also very basic. 7 divided by 2. Now what does that mean? It means I have 7 sweets and I need to share them by 2 amongst 2 children. Okay, what will each child get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the 7th sweet, where do I put it? I have 1 extra sweet that makes 7. Where do I put it? I can't give it to either child because it will not be an equal amount. Remember, division means sharing equally. So this 1 sweet is actually a leftover, and that is now my remainder. 7 divided by 2 is 3. Each child gets 3 sweets, and that 1 leftover is written as remainder 1. Okay, this 1 sweet is a remainder, a leftover, which is remainder 1, and REM short for remainder. Also, if I know my 2 times tables or my multiples of 2, I will realize that 2, 4, 6, 8. 7 is not a multiple of 2, and therefore if 7 is not a multiple of 2, I need to take a multiple of 2 that is closest to 7 and divide it by 2, and that will be 1, 2, 3, and that means the 1 extra 6, 7 minus 6 is equal to 1. That 1 extra 7 minus 6 is equal to 1. That 1 is now my remainder, my leftover, which I cannot give either child because it will be unfair. All right. Let's go on to our more advanced examples. I have the number 69 divided by 3. Right. In order to divide by 3, now remember, 69 divided by 3, the 69 is written inside the long division sign. If I look at this L, the L that is fallen over, that is my long division sign, as opposed to the to the short division symbol. Okay, this is a short division symbol, but I use the L as a long division symbol. And when I'm reading this question, I do not say 3 divided by 69, rather the number that's inside, which is 69, and 69 divided by 3, and I get my answer. Where do I write division answers? Yes, division answers must be written on the top of the sum. Unlike subtraction, addition, and multiplication, where those answers are written at the bottom of the sum, remember division answers are written on the top part of the sum. Okay, so let's get started. In order to divide 69 by 3, 69 is made up of 2 digits. All right, comprises of 2 digits. So what we're going to do is we are going to focus on 1 digit at a time. So let's focus on the first digit, which is the 6. And we are going to say 6 divided by 3 first. And then we're going to come back to 9. But when we are dividing by 3, we are going to follow 4 steps. The 4 steps are, number 1, divide. We are going to say 6 divided by 3. What is 6 divided by 3? Remember, do you know your multiples of 3? 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so we are going to say 6 divided by 3 is 2. Where do I write my answer? On the top of the sum. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Remember what I said. If you know your multiplication facts, okay, you know your division. So the second step is to multiply, because that is the inverse of division. Multiply. What do I multiply? 2 times 3 to give me 6. 2 times 3 to give me 6. Where do I write my multiplication answers? Below the 6. Okay, the third step is to subtract. Why do we need to subtract, and what do we subtract? We subtract 6 from the bottom 6. We subtract the bottom 6 from the top 6. Okay, so 6 minus 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. Now what happens when we have a 0? It means that step 4 cannot be completed because we do not have any remainders. 6 is a multiple of 3. 6 is a multiple of 3. Therefore, can be divided equally without any remainders. If there's no remainders, that means we do not carry the remainder. We do not carry the remainder. We just leave the remainder where it belongs, which is at the bottom. And then we have to now focus on the next number, which is 9. Now, we are going to start the steps all over again. We are going to start the division, multiplication, subtraction, and carrying steps all over again. And this time we are going to do it with the digit 9. And we're going to ask ourselves, what is 9 divided by 3? 9 divided by 3 is 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay. And 3 times 3 is 9. Remember, the opposite of division, or the inverse of division, is multiplication. And that is your step 2. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. Right, we do the inverse to check to see if we have this, the opposite answers. Okay. Third step is to subtract. What do we subtract? 9 minus 9, which is 0. Again, we cannot complete step 4 because we have no remainders. What does it mean? 9 is a multiple of 3, therefore it can be divided equally by 3, and we have no remainders. So what is my answer? My answer is 23. Let's do a slightly different sum, which is 78 divided by 3. Again, I need to follow my 4 steps. Right, if I didn't tell you previously how to remember these 4 steps, an easy way to remember it is D for divide. Divide, 2 is multiply. Divide means sharing. Divide means sharing. That's an acronym you can use to remember the steps. First to divide, second to multiply, third to subtract. And if we have a remainder, then we carry the remainder, and that is step 4. Only if we have a remainder. If the remainder is 0, there's no need to carry the remainder. So let's do the acronym again. Divide means sharing, and sharing means caring. Divide means sharing, sharing means caring. So first divide, second multiply, third subtract, fourth carry. So let's start the steps with 78 divided by 3. Remember, 78 is actually 2 digits, and we are going to focus on 1 digit at a time. The first digit we're focusing on is the 7, and we're going to follow step 1 with the 7. 7 divided by 3. 3, 6, 9. What do you notice? 7 is not a multiple of 3, and that means it cannot be divided equally by 3. So what are we going to do? We are going to take the number that's closest to the 7, which is a 6, and we're going to say 6 divided by 3. The number that's closest to the 7 but also smaller than 7. 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. All right. And if I'm going to be filling in the division answers on the top of the sum. 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. Now to do the multiplication. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. All right, read the division sum backwards to get the multiplication sum. The third step is to subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. What does it mean? It means that because 7 is not a multiple of 3, it cannot be divided equally, and therefore we end up with a remainder of 1. What do we do with the remainder? And that's where step 4 comes in. We need to carry this remainder and place it next to the number that we are going to be dividing next, and that is 8. Now remember, if it's 8 divided by 3, and if I place a remainder next to it, the number 8 now becomes 18 divided by, it now becomes 18 divided by 3. Okay, so let's focus on 18, and we follow the steps with 18. 18 divided by 3 is equal to 6. 18 divided by 3 is equal to 6. That's because 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 3 is 18. Remember, if we complete a division sum, 6 times 3 is equal to 18. The inverse of division is multiplication. Subtract to see if we have any remainders. No remainders, therefore we do not need to carry. If there's no remainders, we don't carry. So let me just clear up the side working sums out so that you can see what is our answer more clearly. 78 divided by 3 is 26. That is your answer. All right. Now I'm going to do a few more examples with you. Let's take 69 divided by 4. Again, boys and girls, focus on 1 digit at a time. 6 divided by 4. We need to know our multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16. 6 is not a multiple of 4, and therefore it cannot be divided equally or shared equally. There has to be remainders. Now, if 6 cannot be divided equally by 4, or is 6 not a multiple of 4, what do? We take the closest number to 6, but also less than 6, which is 4. And we say, what is 4 divided by 4? 4 divided by 4 is 1. Division answers go on the top. Second step is to multiply. Right. 1 times 4 equals 4. 1 times 4 is equal to 4. Third step is to subtract. 6 minus 4 is equal to 2. What does it mean? It means we have a remainder. a remainder. Because 6 is not a multiple of 4, it cannot be divided equally or shared equally by 4, and therefore we have a remainder. This time we have a remainder of 2. Carry the remainder. Step 4 is to carry the remainder. Where do we carry the remainder to? We carry the remainder and place it next to the number that I am going to be dividing next. What am I going to be dividing next? 9. And if I place a 2 next to the 9, the number now changes to 29 divided by 4. Again, let's see if 29 is a multiple of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. 29 is not a multiple of 4, which means it cannot be divided equally. So what do we do in this case? We are going to take the number that's closest to 29 but also less than 29, and that is 28. And we are going to ask ourselves, what is 28 divided by 4? 28 divided by 4 is 7. Right, 28 divided by 4 is 7. How do we know that? If we do the inverse of division, we will know that 7 times 4 will give me 28. That's how we're going to know it. 7 times 4 is equal to 28. Right, so we have completed the division and the multiplication. What is the next step? 3, which is subtract. What is 29 minus 28? 1. 1 means there is a remainder. What do we do with the remainder? Step 4, carry it. Now, if there's no more digits to divide, we need to carry the 1 straight up to the main answer, which is 17, and place the remainder 1 next to the 17. And now my answer is 17 remainder 1. I'll just clear this up for you so you can see my answer clearly. 69 divided by 4 is 17 remainder 1. I am going to do another example for you quickly, and that is a 3-digit example. Okay, 786 divided by 5. Right, 786 divided by 5. Let's take 1 digit at a time. Focus on the 7. What is 7 divided by 5? 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 7 is not a multiple of 5. What do? We look for a multiple of 5 that is closest to 7 but also less than 7, and that is 5. And so we say 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1. 5 divided by 5 is equal to 1. Step 1 complete. Step 2 is to multiply. Do the inverse. 1 times 5. 1 times 5 is equal to 5. Okay, 1 times 5 is equal to 5. Where do I write the multiplication answer? Below the 7, below our focus number. Third step is now to subtract. We subtract to find that we have a remainder. What do we do with the remainder? We carry the remainder. We carry the remainder to the next number that we are going to be dividing. So if I place the remainder 2 next to the 8, it's now changing 8 to 28. So my next focus number is 28. Right. I am going to start doing the division process all over again, the steps all over again, and that is now 28 divided by 5. Again, 28 is not a multiple of 5. So what do? I look for the number that's closest to 28, and that is 25. Closest but smaller than 28. That's 25. 25 divided by 5 is 5. The division answer goes on the top. Second is the multiplication. The inverse of the division is 5 times 5 is 25. So 5 times 5 is 25. The multiplication answer gets written below. 28 minus 25 is 3. Subtract, and what do we know? We get a remainder. Why do we get a remainder? Because 28 is not a multiple of 5. It cannot be shared equally. There is going to be a remainder. What do we do with the remainder of 3? Yes, step 4. Carry the remainder 3 to the number that we divide next, and that is a 6. Place the 3 next to the 6, and what happens? The 6 now becomes 36. So my new division sum is 36 divided by 5. Do we have 36 in our multiples of 5? No, but we have a number that's close to 36 but less than 36, and that's 35. So we ask ourselves, what is 35 divided by 5? 35 divided by 5 is 7. Division answer goes to the top. Multiplication means the inverse. Now work backwards. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 5 is 35. Third step is to subtract. 36 minus 35 will give you 1. Now we cannot carry. Step 4 is to carry to another number that we will be dividing. There's no more numbers to divide. So we're going to carry the 1 straight up to the main answer and write the answer as 157 remainder 1. And there you go. 786 divided by 5 is 157 remainder 1. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell notification for notification of more videos.